You know, when you buy an old house, you expect a few quirks. A creaky floorboard, maybe some questionable wallpaper from the 70s. What you don't expect is to find a whole entire room that, according to the official floor plan, just doesn't exist. But that's exactly what happened to us. It all started about 6 months after we moved into our dream home. A beautiful Victorian house built way back in 1890. We loved the character, the history, all the little nooks and crannies. We were still in the process of making it our own, planning renovations, and that's when we noticed something strange. We were looking at the original blueprints we got with the house, trying to figure out where we could knock down a wall to expand the kitchen. My partner, Alex, was tracing the lines with a finger, comparing it to the actual layout of the house. And then he just stopped and said, "Wait a minute, this doesn't add up." He pointed to the wall at the back of our master bedroom closet. According to the blueprint, that wall should have been the exterior wall of the house. But when we went upstairs and looked at the actual back of the house from the outside, there was at least another 10 feet of space before the roofline ended. The math wasn't matching. There was a huge void, a chunk of the house that was unaccounted for. At first, we thought it was just an error in the drawings. Old blueprints aren't always perfect, right? But the more we looked, the more obsessed we became. We started tapping on the back wall of the closet. Instead of the solid thud you'd expect from an exterior wall, we heard a faint, hollow echo. My heart started pounding. It was that moment you see in movies, but it was happening in our actual closet. We got a stud finder, and it went absolutely wild. It wasn't just detecting studs, it was detecting a massive empty space behind the plaster and lath. There was no doubt about it. Something was back there. So, we did what any sensible, curious, and slightly crazy new homeowners would do. We decided to make a hole. We started small, with a drill bit, just to see what we'd hit. After punching through the plaster and the wood lath, the drill bit just kept going. It went into empty air. We shone a flashlight through the tiny hole, and all we could see was darkness. That was it. There was no turning back. We grabbed a pry bar and a hammer. It felt sacrilegious, tearing into the wall of this beautiful old house, but we had to know. The plaster came off in dusty chunks, revealing the old wooden slats. Then, we started carefully prying off the lath. And that's when we saw it. It wasn't just empty space. It was a room, a hidden room. The opening was just big enough to squeeze through. I went first, phone flashlight held out in front of me like some kind of budget Indiana Jones. The air inside was thick and musty, smelling of old wood, dust, and something else, something faintly floral, like dried potpourri. The room was small, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet, with a low, sloped ceiling that followed the roofline. There was no window, which explained why we'd never seen it from the outside. The walls were covered in faded, peeling wallpaper with a delicate pattern of vines and flowers. The floor was bare wood planks, covered in a thick layer of dust that had probably been settling for the better part of a century. And in the center of the room, there was a small, wooden rocking chair, just sitting there, perfectly still, as if waiting for someone to return. Next to it was a small, child-sized wooden trunk with rusty iron clasps. My hands were shaking as I reached for the trunk. It was locked. Of course, it was locked. We went back and forth, trying to decide what to do. Should we break it open? Preserve it? We were practically vibrating with a mix of excitement and a strange sense of reverence. This wasn't just an empty space. It felt like a time capsule. We managed to carefully pry open the lock without doing too much damage to the trunk. What we found inside took our breath away. It was filled with children's items. There was a beautiful, but very worn, porcelain doll with a cracked face. A set of wooden building blocks, their paint faded with time. A small, leather-bound book of fairy tales, its pages yellowed and brittle. And underneath it all, a small bundle of letters, tied together with a faded blue ribbon. We spent the rest of the night carefully reading them. They were written by a woman named Alara to her sister, dating from the early 1900s. She wrote about her life in this house, about her husband, and most of all, about her young daughter, Lily, who was often sick. From the letters, we pieced together a heartbreaking story. Lily had a chronic respiratory illness, and the doctor had advised that she be kept in a quiet, dust-free environment. It seems Alara and her husband created this small, sealed-off room for her. It was her sanctuary, her playroom, her world. The last letter was dated 1915. In it, Alara wrote that Lily had passed away peacefully in her sleep in that very room. She wrote that she couldn't bear to look at the room anymore, and that her husband was going to seal it up to preserve it as Lily's final resting place, a memory box of her short life. And that's what they did. They plastered over the door, hiding it from the world, and eventually, from memory. The house was sold, new families moved in, and the story of the hidden room was lost to time. Until we came along, with a blueprint and a whole lot of curiosity. Finding this room changed everything. It was no longer just a structural anomaly. It was a deeply personal, historical space. We felt an incredible connection to the family that lived here over 100 years ago. It felt like the house had shared its biggest secret with us. So, what are we doing with the room now? We've decided to restore it. We're carefully cleaning it, preserving the wallpaper as best we can, and treating the wooden floors. We're turning it into a quiet reading nook, a peaceful little escape. We've placed the doll and the book of fairy tales on a small shelf inside, and the rocking chair is back in its original spot. It doesn't feel like our room. It feels like Lily's room, and we're just its caretakers. It's a constant reminder that a house is more than just bricks and mortar. It's a container of stories, of lives lived, of joys and sorrows. And sometimes, if you listen closely or tap on the right wall, it might just tell you one of its secrets. Thanks so much for coming along on this incredible journey with us. It's been an absolute whirlwind, and we're so excited to share more of our home's history with you. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more adventures in our Victorian home. We'll see you in the next one.